Good day, podcast community. PeteKane here, Podcast Pete and lifestyle coach. And we have a special guest on the show today. Came from my friend George, who said, you got to get Terrence on your podcast. So when George says something, I listen. So Terrence, for those that don't know you, tell our friends who you are, what you do, and who you serve, and then we'll get into our podcast.
Who am I? My name is Terrence Johnson. Again, first of all, Pete, thanks for having me. Who am I? That's who I am. What do I do? I change people's lives. I get people to understand the power and the greatness that resides in all of us if we can tap into it. And I serve the greater community, if you will. I have clients all over the world, from United Kingdom, here in the States, as far as Africa, and in other parts of the world as well. And it's worked out really well for me. And I will say this, married 32 years to a lovely wife, my wife Marie, grandfather of 3, and just enjoying life, even during these challenging times that we're facing. Still, by God's grace, making a good, way for myself, and life is going well. So my goal here today, during this conversation, is to hopefully spread some infectious good energy, hope, positive. And I know those things can be challenging, if you will, but regardless of the circumstances we all might be enduring, we still do have a choice in how we perceive the world and how we operate in it. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
That is awesome. I always love talking about the journey of wealth. And I think education is so critical, because I don't know what the number is. You probably know it better than I do. The amount of people that live paycheck to paycheck, and that when they retire, they have not much to live on.
Right.
Why do you think, is there anything that you've seen in the last couple of years that it improved that? Or are we really have a challenge out there that education is not getting to the people like we'd want it to? What do you think?
I'm very familiar with those numbers. I was actually watching a report. I'm in the market, and I was watching Squawk Box, and they were talking about the new Fed chair coming in, and how 56% of all Americans have no assets. Roughly half all Americans have less than $400 in the bank. They're one paycheck away from being homeless, and things of that nature. What do I teach my clients? Well, first of all, there's a huge difference between education and knowledge. Many people are educated, and you can know a bunch of stuff, but is the knowledge of what you hold, is it beneficial for you in whatever endeavor you're trying to do? In this situation, we're talking monetarily. And so what I would say to people, you are in grave trouble if you do not acquire the knowledge and educate yourself with the appropriate knowledge to understand the changing market, the changing world. And unfortunately, I'm very much a realistic person, and I'm very direct with people. Unfortunately, everyone's not going to make it. And it is a sad state to have worked 30 years. My wife goes to Walmart, and we go there often. She just loves to shop, and how wives are. But anyway, there's this lady that works there. She's, I think, 62 years old. And you can see the toll on her body by, whatever she got into. And I will always tell my wife, no one chooses to wake up to become unsuccessful. No one wants to be poor. No one wants to be sick. Nobody wants these things. But a lot of times we wind up where we are because of the choices that we made in our 30s. And so I take a very realistic approach to changing your life, even in your 60s. As long as you have breath in your body, there's still hope. You can make a change. You can make an improvement. But I think at the same time, your question is valid. There are some difficult times ahead if you're not abreast of the changing current, if you will. And we know the big one here is AI. It's just come down a pipeline, and the elimination of jobs. And if you're not in the market, if you're not understanding cryptocurrencies, if you're not understanding, annuities, derivatives, whatever it might be, unfortunately, there's some challenging times ahead.
Yeah, I love what you said about assets. And I have conversations with people, and they'll say, like, what do you mean by assets? And assets grow. Talk to our viewers about, when you say, I don't remember the exact number, you said 65% don't have assets.
56%.
56.
Yeah.
So why is it so important to own assets?
Well, first of all, we must understand. Now, that's a very good question. Now, I'm going to peel the onion back and just indulge me for a moment. If we're taught, most Americans are taught to you graduate high school, go to college, get a job, and let the chips fall where they may. And I took that route, if you will. But when I became an executive with Disney, and I started doing very large deals on tens of millions of dollars, and I understood that what's taught in school and what goes on in the real world are entirely two different things. You have actual, then you have theoretically. This is how this should go. And so when I talk to people, I work with a gambler, very different age groups, huge demographic. When I talk to my young people, I say, here you go. I said, what do you want to do? They say, well, Mr. Johnson, I'd like to become a millionaire. I said, well, what do you want to do as a profession? They say, I'd like to become a school teacher. I said, well, this is an oxymoron because most school teachers do not make $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So lining up the vision with reality, if you will. And so when we talk about assets, excuse me, when you're looking at the stock market, things of this nature, dead money doesn't make money. In other words, the worst thing you can do to a degree is just to put your money in the bank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Clarity Act, the Genius Act, and all the things that are going on. Many people just look at money but don't understand the geopolitical aspects that are going on behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many moving parts to this. And so when you're looking at interest rate, your bank's giving you 0.1%, or maybe you get lucky and get 3.75%, depending on whatever you're using. You must understand that they're leveraging that out 10 to 1. In other words, we live in a capitalist society. Everything is about making money. And many people say, well, it's not all about the money. I beg to differ. Because if you don't have the resources, especially as you get older, as I'm getting older, and you need good medical treatment, you need good health care, you need a great place to stay, a reliable vehicle to drive. You must have assets that will afford you the opportunity to participate at that level, whether it's a Roth account, your 401k, the stock market, cryptocurrency. So I would say to anyone who's listening, here's something really fascinating. All this stuff is free. You can go to YouTube or Google or Ask Grok or Chat GTP, and it will give you the information. But here's the problem. Here's the rub, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has access to Google, but not everyone knows what to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Get the information. And so that's why I kind of come in the middle, if you will. But assets are extremely important, and start small. Technology is so advanced now that you can have what's called reoccurring buys, and it's kind of set it and forget it, if you will. But educate yourself. I'm a fan of financial advisors to a point, but take control of your financial future, and you really can. But assets are key. Homes, cars are not assets, ladies and gentlemen, unless they're antiques or something of that nature. Other than that, it's a depreciating asset.
Yes.
I express this to all of my clients. It's nothing wrong with having a beautiful automobile, but just remember, it's a depreciating assets. Homes, real estate, gold, silver, platinum, cryptocurrencies, again, stocks, things of that nature. Those are the things you want to focus on. Insurance as well.
I love that. I have some assets, Tesla, in crypto, Bitcoin specifically.
Good.
I always borrow against it.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood that years ago that, you shouldn't sell your assets because, right. and they're going to print money like they do. Mm-hmm. So our buying power always goes down. I always try to work with my clients to help them in areas that maybe they have some blind spots. And so I had a friend that I was coaching, and I start him off with Bitcoin. And his first reaction is, oh, I don't want any of that. I don't believe in that. And it's kind of like, it took me a year or two to really understand it. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on Bitcoin and crypto? And how are you advising people as part of their portfolio and strategy long term to embrace something new and different that we're seeing in the last 10 years?
Well, the one thing I expressed to them, we have to have honest conversation about the state of the economy and the value of the dollar. And why is all of these things coming online, from Bitcoin to Ethereum, HBAR, XRP, XLM, Quant. There are so many cryptos. I'm a huge fan of cryptocurrencies. I've been doing it now for the last 5 years. Done very well. It's very volatile. Let me be very candid about that. And I hear what you're saying about selling assets. I've never really I've traded them to acquire other assets, if you will. And you want to, and the reason, for those who are listening, the reason you really don't want to sell those assets is really from a tax perspective, because whenever you create a tax event, you're going to be taxed upon that income. And I love what you said earlier, because that's the basic strategy, is to acquire, then borrow, acquire, then borrow, acquire, then borrow, and things of that nature. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the disposable income to pay. What was Bitcoin at its height? It was 126, I believe, 126,000. I got into it when it was right around about 18. So there was a lot of upside to that. But I'm a huge fan of it. I think if you study it and you understand it, Bitcoin is a store of value, if you will. Ethereum is the rails, or if the things are running upon. I am a huge fan of, and this is no paid advertisement, folks. I love XRP. I love all of them. Bitcoin, XLM, they all perform different functions.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand what each cryptocurrency's real world asset availability is, then you can make better informed decisions. But I would tell anyone, start small. One of the things I do with my high school students is called 2 10s and a 5, $25. Young people don't have a ton of money, but I say, listen, $25 a month, continuously. The deal is, and I'm sure you're aware of this, Pete, is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be consistently doing it. And don't despise small beginnings, because over a year's time, you will have a little Bitcoin. And if we believe the projections, Pete, on where we see this going by 2030, 2035, you don't need a whole coin. Now, I would advise, if you can get one, get one. If you're fortunate enough to obtain that, do so. But if you're not able to get a whole coin, it does not mean it will not be a wise investment. So Bitcoin's a store of value. XLM is more for banking. XLM is more peer-to-peer. Ladies and gentlemen, that's where we're going to be doing directly peer-to-peer business with one another. HBAR, I don't know if you're familiar, is hash graph technology. Huge fan of them as well, with all the things that they're doing with Boeing and different industries. And so I would advise anyone, listen, if you can afford to do it, and I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, just what I'm doing, if you will. $100, $200 a month into those various currencies, as well as the market and gold and silver. And if you're just consistent with it, and the earlier you start, the better.
Yes.
Based on history, you should come out pretty well.
Yeah, that is so good. That's great advice. Let's go back to your Marine journey. What in your journey as a Marine prepared you for this financial journey that you're on right now?
Let me correct. I was in the Army.
Army, okay.
Army. Well, that's a good question. The best thing that ever happened to me was the military and my father. My father was a hard man, and I don't mean hard in an abusive way, but just very strict, very authoritative. You're going to have to work for what you want. No one's going to give you anything. The world owes you nothing, blah, 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 that type of thing. And when I got into service, once I left college, having to become disciplined. You know how I excelled in the civilian population once I got out of the military?
Tell me.
The military is not a place for excuses. If you're late, you're going to be written up. If you're not following orders, you can get restrictive duty. You can get court-martialed. There are some ramifications behind your performance.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got into the civilian sector, so many people can't even get to work on time. Just can't get to work on time. And so when you're coming from a background, and I'm a Gulf War vet, I served on the Gulf War. When you're coming from a background where discipline is not just required, it's expected. And you come into the civilian sector and you're not enforced to be to work on time. You're not enforced to have a high level of performance. When I became an executive, many people would always say to me, Mr. Johnson, how did you just excel so quickly? It wasn't that I worked harder than everybody in as much as just working hard, because if hard work constituted success, many people would be better off. Many people work hard all of their lives. and don't have much to show for it. Excuse me, it's a little warm in my office today. But what I try to instill with people is it's not just working smarter either. When you insinuate we'll work smarter, not harder, whether you're understanding this or not, you are implying that the people who were working hard were not smart individuals. This is not true. But then how do you excel above that? I will say this to anyone: you become what you think about. I would say this to people again: you will become what is the dominant thought in
Yes.
your mind. Most people focus on what they don't have and experience more of that, as opposed to focusing on how they want it to be and then manifesting or creating that. So being in the military taught me the power of my mind.
Mm.
It was difficult carrying that rucksack. It was difficult carrying an M60. It was difficult doing a 15-mile march. Your feet are burning, your calves burn, your quads are hurting, your back hurts. You'd be surprised how heavy a weapon can get.
Hmm.
But I guess, fortified a certain level of mental toughness, a certain level of emotional fortitude. And here's what I found in those times I was struggling, to be candid. It was this voice in my head. It was me talking to me.
Mm.
You can make it. You can make it. You can make it. You can make it. And there's a scripture in the great Bible. It says that David encouraged himself. I had to encourage myself,
Yeah.
regardless of what I was feeling physically,
Mhm.
emotionally, or even mentally. So the inner conversation that I started having with myself, I wanted to be successful, period. And there was no wavering. I was not unstable in my endeavors. I meant it and I wanted to do it, and I was willing to pay the price to do it. Was it easy? I will say this to anyone who's listening. It was as easy as I was willing to change.
Mm.
That's how easy it was. If I wasn't willing to change, it was difficult.
That is beautiful. No, what did they say? I ditto that, like ditto times two
It's
times
true.
whatever. Yes. And I want to go back to what you said about mindset. And, we are what we think about, whatever dominates our thinking process. However, I heard we have between 1,200 and 60,000 thoughts that go through our head each day. How does Terrence stay focused on the right things to have that mindset?
That's a good question. Focus is not difficult if you want to focus. The first thing we have to do is stop telling ourselves it's hard. Let me give you an example. When I played basketball, I told you I'm about 7 feet tall. When I played ball, and you run up and down the court and you're playing the game, the first thing to get tired is not the body, it's the mind.
Hmm.
The mind conceives of, I'm tired. And then all of a sudden you start to feel tired. Now, how's that relate to focus and those type of things? The inner conversation that you're having with yourself will dictate how things move forward. In
Hmm.
other words, we do have all these thoughts. Most people never differentiate between brain and mind. You never heard someone say, hey, this person's lost their brain. You hear someone say, this person's lost their mind.
Yes, that's right.
Stay with me. Stay with
Yeah.
me. Most people never separate brain from mind. The brain is constantly having thoughts and ideas and all of these things coming to it. The mind is what it selects. Now, if I were to say to you, or to anyone who's listening, what is in your mind? Now, everyone, of course, would say thoughts and things of that nature, but what I would peel the onion back further and say, what is in your mind is your imagination. You see, we have something called the mind's eye. So
Hmm.
we have the eyes in which we see the world with. But if you wanted to enclose your eyes, you can see yourself back in high school. You can see yourself in the market. You can see yourself anywhere. That is the greatest gift we all possess. But unfortunately, Pete, we're never taught to use it.
Yes.
We're never taught to use our mind. You're taught to work. You're not taught to be creative. You're not taught to understand that. Now, if I say to you, what is in your mind? Your own wonderful human imagination. I'm an avid fan of Neville Goddard. This is where I learned this philosophy many years ago, and this understanding. What's in your mind? Everything we see, you and I are speaking, the desk behind you, the bookshelf, the pictures behind me, the jacket, the shirt you have on, all of this was once a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Someone thought it up. It didn't
Yeah.
disappear. So what's in your mind? The power to create and change anything. And the first thing you have to change is the fact that you have to believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You must believe in yourself. Many people believe for others. They'll believe for others. You know, oh, you can do it, buddy. You can do it. You can do it, young lady. Whatever. But when it comes to their own self-worth, they doubt themselves. Doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, these things are what stop you.
Yes.
And I'm just telling anyone the truth. And Pete, let's put on our big
Yes.
boy pants here. We all know the world we live in, the
Yes.
challenges that we face. Let's just have honest conversation. And as I tell the minority community, or I tell my white colleagues and whom I do business with, we all have a choice
Mm-hmm.
how we're vibrating and responding to this world. If you choose to become successful, if you hang around 9 broke people, you make the 10th one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you hang around 9 successful people, the odds are you're going to become successful.
Yes.
Environment, mindset, inner conversation, taking time to be still. You and I both know this is a go, go, go,
Yes.
go, 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 go. And you kind of miss the forest for the trees, if you will. I know that was somewhat of a long-winded answer, but I hope that helps.
No, it really does. There is another stat I would like you to talk about.
Sure.
The average American watches 4 hours of TV and scrolls like 2.5 hours of TikTok videos or whatever social media, and they're consuming other people's lives, like you talked about. How does Terrence stay creative? And because it's always pulling us over into consumption, which is a lot of distraction.
Hmm.
But when we stay in that genius zone or that creative zone, we can do so much better. How do you approach every day to lean into being creative and lean into your genius, God-given talents and skills that you have?
You know, you said a lot there, and I'm going to try to answer that as shortly but as directly as possible. Number one, many people forget God. As I know in 2026, it's not a popular topic.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. I am an avid fan of prayer. I'm an avid fan of meditation. I'm an avid fan of love. I'm an avid fan of being kind. Now, let me be clear. I'm not suggesting that anyone disrespect us, be mean to us, treat us poorly. That's not what I'm saying. I
Mm-hmm.
am saying in my 58 years of living, I realized that how do you stay, get away from those distractions is by having a life with purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You see, if you have purpose in your life, you're very rarely distracted. You have
Yes.
purpose. You got something you have to do. So when you find yourself scrolling for hours on end, when you find yourself consuming other people's lives, and for lack of a better term, you don't find your life as exciting, I think we must understand some basic universal principles. In as much, number one, as long as we're alive and we wake up the next day, you're given 24 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
the question is, what are you doing with it?
Mm.
What are you doing with your time? As I tell my mentees, it's relatively simple. I enjoy being successful. I say, you know what, guys, I can always make more money. I cannot make more time.
Mm. Yep.
Time is your greatest currency. And
Yes.
unfortunately, most people waste time wasting time. What are you doing? You're wasting time wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I avoid it? I stay busy. What do I stay busy doing? What makes me feel good?
Mm.
What I
Yep.
enjoy doing? Talking to you,
Yes.
having conversations. See, and when you understand that you become what you think about, I show people that you have this innate ability to draw things unto yourself. Just indulge me, people. Have you ever thought about someone and then they called you?
Yeah. Oh, all the time.
Okay, all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's happened to you. It's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to some of the individuals who are going to watch this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thinking about someone, and then this person calls you. The phone rings, you answer the phone, and here lies the answer to this equation. You say, "Hey, man, I was just what?"
Thinking about you. Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yes.
Your
Yeah.
thoughts are creating your reality. You're broadcasting this out into the world. This is the gift of the creator.
Yes.
Let us create man in our image. We have these miraculous things we can do. But when you ask someone, you'll say, oh, it's just a coincidence. Well,
Yeah.
it can't be a coincidence, Pete. If it's happened to you, happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to your listeners. So it can't be a coincidence. So then what are we doing? You answered the equation with the call. Hey, I
Yeah.
was just thinking about you. Now here's the question. When you were thinking about them, it's usually in a pleasant way. It's not filled with anxiety. It's not filled with fear or worry or doubt. And so there's this natural thought, if you will, or magnetic personality or energetic signal that
Yeah.
we go out and we give into the world. And many people disregard their intuition. When we use the word intuition, if I would tell my classes, let's take the TION off of it and let's look at to be in tune. The question is, in tune with what?
Yes.
Self. No one can make you feel good. You choose to feel good.
Yeah, that is so good. I love these conversations because
I'm glad.
the mind is such a powerful muscle that if we don't lean into it and work it, like you just said, self-talk and doing the things that we have plenty of information out there. But what are we doing with it and how are we talking to ourselves? Well, I want to change gears just a little bit. I had a gentleman on my podcast and I don't know how he found me and we never figured it out, but he was talking about PTSD. And he was 5 years old and grew up in a concentration camp in Russia at age 5. So not a typical pre-K kind of environment.
Mhm.
But what he said is that was the best time for him to grow through his tragedy. Now he says PTSG, post traumatic stress growth.
Mm.
Did you ever have a time in your life that you're in the middle of the storm? It's not fun in the storm, but it's when we get on the other end that you grew as a person based on something dramatic in your life or
Absolutely. I will take you back to my childhood. My mother and father, God bless him. My dad is still alive. He's 78. I just talked to dad yesterday. He's doing well. My mom's passed on, but early on, and I'm just going to share my heart because I feel led to do so. I did not grow up in a silver spoon environment, not whatsoever. What got me out was playing sports, being 7 feet. That's basically what happened to me. When I was in high school, I was a special education student, and I scored extremely low on my SAT. My father was an alcoholic. My mother was on heroin. Just God willing, she cleaned her life up. She got sober. We thank God for that. My dad stopped drinking, turned his life around. But in those times when I was young, not having money to eat lunch, and being so big, then being in special ed. I mean, you're the tallest person in the school. It was a lot of challenges
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally. But it was a basketball coach, a gentleman by the name of Luke Bender, who really poured into me. And one day he took me home from basketball practice and he saw the environment in which I came from. And he says to me, hey, Terrence, just because you're from here doesn't mean you have to stay here. And he
Mm.
took me to the Poconos for a basketball summer camp. And I got to meet America, diversity. And what you see on TV is not necessarily what's going on in the real world.
Yeah.
And so from that environment, it was a challenging time because I did not have the support system. But at the same time, looking back on it, maybe I had what I was supposed to have
Mhm.
to get me to where I'm at today. Maybe that's, if you pull one thread off the fabric, it kind of unravels the whole picture. So maybe that's what it was. But it was very difficult seeing my mother in that condition, very difficult seeing my father in that condition. And then the pressure of the neighborhood and your aunties and your uncles and your cousins and everyone knows, but no one has a solution. So a lot of it was going inwardly, praying. Sometimes there were tears, anger
Mhm.
was one of those things as well. But I just learned to grow from it. I love my parents with all my heart. They were great people. They are great people, and they did the best they could with what they knew
Mm.
at the given time. So I have no ill will about it. But If I had experienced those circumstances, Pete, I probably wouldn't be the individual I am today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but challenges, this is what I tell people about suffering. Usually, you're to learn something from it,
Yep.
and no one likes it. Don't look at this jacket, folks, and a handkerchief. This is just what we wear to be acceptable to society. Don't get it wrong as if I've never had a bad day. That's not true. My wife almost died several years back. You want to talk about some adversity. I mean, she was at Emory, 36 units of blood, had diverticulitis, had a major bleed and life support. And oh my God, listen, buddy, you talk about gut check. It was a gut check, and being in that room at 2 a.m. and she can't speak, and all you're hearing is the beeping of the machines, and you're hoping that the blood pressure doesn't drop. But it was in those times, what I learned. Here's a great lesson. You know what I learned in that time, and I don't mean to sound facetious when I say this. No matter how much money I make, where I live, there was nothing I could do. And most people would say, "Oh, that's easy for you to say. You're not dealing with this." And I get it. Don't misinterpret. But in that moment, it didn't matter where I lived. It didn't matter how much money was in my bank account. It only mattered how skilled the surgeon was. And so I think what I would tell you is we must learn, at least I had to, was to keep everything in its proper perspective, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very important. So there you have it.
I love it. So you are today, I don't know how old you are, but let's say, what is it?
58. Just turned 58 on the 10th of February.
So you got your 58 Terrence,
Mm-hmm.
and he's talking to his 20-year-old Terrence. What would you advise your 20-year-old, based on what you know now and your experience in life, that you could take some wisdom into 20 years old?
Oh, wow. That's easy. Believe in yourself. Don't doubt yourself. Don't be afraid. It's okay to fail. No one's perfect. No, everyone doesn't have it all figured out. There's a difference between trying and doing, knowing and believing. To be patient with yourself, to have fun, enjoy your life. Most of the things you worry about never even happen.
Yeah, that is true.
So you have to go. I'm telling you what I would do. I would look back on it. That's why I got all this white on my face. It was all from stressing and worrying about things that never even happened. And here's something else. Usually the things you're stressed and worried about are not the things that are most important.
Yes, that's so true.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and I have a home. Outside of we're both grandparents. If once we decide to leave this planet, and hopefully the house stays in the family or whatever, however it goes, your investments, whatever it is. But in a matter of a couple of generations, everything you worried about will basically be forgotten about.
Yes.
And this is what I tell people: when you really think about it, then why are you stressing about it?
Yeah.
Why are you stressing about it? Because you've been conditioned to.
Yes.
Here's something for your audience. A good exercise I do with my team. I say, I'm going to prove to you social engineering and collective consciousness. Ladies and gentlemen, indulge me. Play along if you like. Finish the common phrase. No pain, no gain. Anything in life worth having, you have to work what for it? Hard. Now, here's the question for those who are listening to you and I. How do you know that? I know that. And Pete knows that. Because we've been programmed to.
Yes. Yes.
That's why. And so if that could be programmed to you, then you could be programmed to worry, be fearful, doubtful, have anxiety, filled with depression, nervous, anger, bitterness, unforgiveness. These are all the things that destroy the human spirit. And yet we see so many of us suffering with it. Well, why? Because you were programmed to it. You must set your mind like software.
Yes.
And if you're doom scrolling, then what is being downloaded spirit of that individual. So
that's so wise. We take a shower to clean ourselves, but how many times are we taking that mental shower? And how often are we taking it? Because this is so important. But we, I had a friend, this was years ago, and he had finished engineering, and he made a comment like, if I never read another book, I'll be happy, or something. Like he was so burnt out from, the textbook and stuff. And it was like, we never are finished. We're always improving. And if we don't, take the mental, whatever it is, books, podcasts, leaning into people that are wiser, that can help you. But we tend to not see this, so we don't lean into it, and we accept what you just shared as the how we've been programmed. And we think, remember, I used to hear from my parents like, well, money doesn't grow on trees. And so you think like, okay, so, but the compounding effect, the just a little bit over time, playing the long game, all these things work in your favor if you practice them, if you lean into them and activate things like that. What would you say? What is Terrence most excited about this year?
What am I most excited about? The opportunity to help. At least for me, you get the house, you get the car, you make a couple of coins. All right, your wife's okay, your grandkids are okay, your health is pretty good. Okay, what's the mission? What's the mission? Well, the mission is I see my brothers, I see my sisters. I don't give a damn what color you are, struggling. I see I'm a veteran. I go to the VA. I see what's going on. I see what's going on in society. Whether I'm in Milton or Alpharetta, Georgia, and where it's beautiful, or I might be a certain area of the city where people are holding signs. There's this huge chasm. What am I excited about? I'm a realist. I can't save everyone, but for those who God will bring across my path, I'm excited to deal with them. And hopefully that my life matters. I would say this to all of you, your listeners. I hope and pray that you get the success that you're really wanting to see. That success is great and loving to have. It's wonderful. But the greatest success, in my opinion, is helping others rise up. One fell, we all fail. That's why I question people who say they're well adjusted, because there's so much evil in the world. How can one become well adjusted to evil?
Yeah.
I want to say something before we go. I know we're pressed for time here.
Please share.
I want to talk about success and financial freedom. And I want to talk about mindset. I want to go back to that. And I want your listeners to understand something. When you go outside today, if you look at a tree, if you look at any tree, you're going to see it's not one leaf on a tree. There are so many leaves on a tree, you cannot count them.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to an apple orchard, there's so many apples produced that they fall to the ground and rot.
Mm-hmm.
If you go out in the ocean, these big fishing ships go out and use these nets and pull in thousands of fish and feed the world. What's the point you're trying to make? If you look in the sky, there's not one bird. There are so many birds that we cannot count them. There's eagles, crows, whatever. The point I'm trying to make to you is the world in which we live in is not a world of scarcity. The world itself is abundant. You must tap into that vibration, that frequency, the mind's eye of abundance. In other words, if you become what you think about, so a man thinketh in his heart. Listen carefully, ladies and gentlemen. So a man thinketh in his heart. The word man is a whole word, meaning woman as well. So a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you become what you think about, and how you thinking is creating your reality, then if you can understand this in its fullness, you truly have the opportunity every day to create whatever you want. You can will yourself into a situation.
Yes.
It's true. I know it might sound a little Harry Potterish or the Matrix or whatever, but what I'm telling you is just knowledge that's just for whatever reason not shared with the masses. So remember, the world in which we exist, it's not a world of lack. There's not one fish. There's so many fish we can't eat them all. There's so much food in the supermarkets, they throw it away. This is the truth. Now, whether or not they're making us pay for it, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
the point I'm wanting to leave with your audience is that you were not created for poverty. You were not created to have a miserable life.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of the circumstances you might find yourself in at this very moment, if you can see it in your mind, in your imagination, remember, we're not talking about your brain. I'm talking about your mind. And if you can see it, declare the end from the beginning. If God be for you, who can be against you?
Yeah. No, I love that verse. We talked before we went on the air about some events that you have coming up.
Sure.
Why don't you share with our community, how can they get more of Terrence, and where are these events happening so they can get access to you?
Sure. All right. Well, most of the individuals reach out to me. I have a pretty decent social media following for a guy my age. You can check me out on Instagram. It's the TH Johnson, THETX Johnson, the TX Johnson. I'm also on TikTok as well at Terrence.x.Johnson. And I'm also on YouTube with the Evolution Now podcast. We were talking earlier, the events we're going to have a seminar, if you will, or money masterclass, and I believe in June. I'm actually meeting with my team this week. You know, you had to get the sponsors and all that stuff that goes into it, but we're looking to host that in June. It's going to be held online as well as in person if you choose to take that route. It's called Spend a Day with Mr. J, if you will. I'm super.
Love it. I love that.
Yeah, so it's not just a bunch of boring conversations. We're having some real dialogue with some great people there, talking about tax strategies, talking about financial investments, trading, and things of that nature. And all these guys, believe it or not, all my mentees. So these are all guys that I work with, and I've seen them grow and become extremely successful. And those were the individuals who said, Mr. J, we should do a master class. We should really put this information out. And what I love about it is a diverse group of people, all different levels and walks of life and in business. But I would say, I tell you what, Pete, hopefully you can come, and I will make sure I get the information as it comes out the pipeline that you're aware of it. But after the event, we're going to have a dinner at the #1 seafood restaurant here in Georgia. So it's not just, you just pay and you listen to me speak. No, we're spending the day together. We're trying to make it a weekend event.
Mm-hmm.
Having breakfast and just really not just about the money. A lot of my people ask me, we're talking about money, but I want it to be more than just about money. Let me put that out there.
Mm-hmm.
Get to a point in my age, you just don't give a damn. You're going to say how you really feel. That's just where I'm at. Is it about the money? Yes, but it's more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to leave changed, filled with hope, filled with inspiration, and determination and persistence. So, but anyway, we're looking at that to do that in June. We'll probably do 2 this year. If the first one goes well, hey, backed by popular demand, we'll do it again. And we'll get you up there, Pete. We got to get you out there, buddy.
Absolutely. I'd love to. We have we do them every 60 days. So I would love to invite you. Our next one is March 21st, Saturday morning. We do it from 9 to 10:30.
Okay.
And I'd love to have you come speak because you're doing what I think most need to consider is one on many, because our ability to impact people. That's why I do so many podcasts, because people say, well, Pete, let's have lunch, let's have breakfast, let's have coffee. And I have no problem getting together with people.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather do it as a group, because together we're better. Together we're learning from each other. Together we're meeting people that can help us in our journey, because there's no such thing as a solo entrepreneur. That's a big myth. It's a team.
It is a team.
Together.
Yes, it is.
So I'll make sure that I'd love to have you come. But
you better. You're part of the family now, Pete. Come in there, baby.
Look, if I can get more of Mr. What is it? Mr.
J.
Mr. J. If I get more of Mr. J on a weekend, I will definitely lean into that.
Part of the family now, bro. And listen, man, energy and spirit, consciousness, awareness, good vibes. And you know what, man? When we come together, the power is in the people.
Yes.
And the forces that be are doing everything in their power to keep us separate.
Absolutely.
But if we can get together on a Saturday, have some coffee, have some great conversation, and people will leave out of there saying, you know what, Pete, man, that was one of the best conversations I've had in a long time. You're feeling good. And when you feel good, you think good. When
Yes.
you think good, you do good. And here's another one. When you do good, they pay good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we got to keep it flowing.
Got to keep the momentum, man.
When it's sitting and it's not moving, money has energy. So we got to keep it moving. I want to personally thank George Nagoda. George, man, I'll tell you a quick, George. I am in stitches and laughter so many times when I'm with George because he has that sense of humor and he has that ability to connect with people.
Yes, he does.
People want to be around him because he does, like you said, about the kindness, he just approaches every person like they're special, and he has that sense of humor that I'll like days later, weeks later, be thinking about what he said, and I'll break out in laughter because it's just on the top of his head. He just lets it flow. So
George was one of my first mentees.
Really?
Yes, we became friends, and but when you're a mentor, you're a coach. You're not doing it forever with the same client, so you move on, things of that nature. But my birthday was a couple of weeks back, and George surprised the hell out of me, and shows up for the birthday party. I couldn't believe it, and that's how I wound up. He was saying, "Well, Mr. Johnson, I want you to get a hold of talk to guys Pete to see if you can come on this podcast." That's how all this came about. It was all George. He came and he came and hung out, and we had dinner and broke bread and all that great stuff. So George and I hope you'll forgive me, but we always wanted to do a men's retreat. We'll get one of those cabins or whatever. It's like, Mr. J, well, I think we should do something like that. But the universe has a way of timing and all that. But I think now coming together as the year progresses, we're not anti anyone. We love our women, but we're focused a lot of coaching on men and just making sure that their mental health as well as their physical, and being the best version of themselves, being the best grandpops, granddads, being the best dads as possible, and just not letting the world, like you said, cleaning the outside of the body off.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we're doing that mental cleansing as well. So, but now George is a great guy, and George, thanks, bro. Appreciate you, baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell you one quick thing. Then I know I want to be respectful of your time. I was trying to help a friend out, and he was doing some work, and it didn't work out. And it was 20 degrees out, and the back door is completely open. I'm heating the whole neighborhood. It's 8:30 at night. I am worn out I did 3 podcasts, a bunch of things. And I'm calling George, and I said, George, I'm in trouble. This is out of control. We can put some cardboard on it. Can you help me out? And man, he was there at my house at 8 o'clock, looked at it, assessed it, made his phone call. His team was I'm saying, George, you have hung the moon, brother, because you are a superstar. You're a hero. I called him my Superman. I mean, because he flies in, takes care of things, and then goes on to impact in other areas. So yes, he's a special kind of guy. So being respectful, what would be the one thing that you would want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
Good question. What's the one thing I want you to take? That your life matters. Don't just equate money with riches. I have plenty of clients. I deal with a lot of high net worth individuals. And even though they have a lot of money, they're poor spiritually.
Yep.
They're poor physically. They don't trust people. And I know some of my clients who are struggling, who are rich as hell with love. Learn the difference between the two. Keep God first, believe in yourself, and remember your mind makes it real.
Terrence, thank you so much. This has been a real treat.
My pleasure, Pete. Hey, so you said you send me that information. I'm there, brother. No worries.
20 Saturday morning. We try to do it early Saturday so people can just go about their day, but we want to bring more people like yourself to the community so they can, and then we connect everybody at the event.
Sure. I look forward. I'm gonna come up there and give you a hard time, bro.
Oh yeah, I want to see how tall you are because I can't tell on the podcast.
Hey, I tell you, you see, George is pretty tall.
Yeah.
Just imagine George looking up.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
That is so
It's
good.
been a pleasure, Pete.
Yes.
Anytime, buddy. Anytime. I'm here if you need me. Continued success. Peace and blessings to you, my friend.
Thank you, Terrence. Appreciate you so